All right, so first things first, Deathrun Remade. This is a overhaul to Subnautica that kind of adds a ton of new features to it and difficulties or just minor to major inconveniences during your life on this alien ocean planet that we all love. So check this out. We're gonna hop right into our mod manager here, just so I can tell you what all the mods are all together. So building tweaks, I think that's just a required mod for our custom, sorry, not our custom craft, our more deco map or mod. So more decorations, this is just more of a quality of life thing. I just wanted to add more decorations in case we ever want to take a day to just do that and have a little bit of fun. Otherwise, everything else is some serious shit. So Deathrun Remade, I'll show you all the options for that in a second. Custom Craft 3 is actually going to overhaul all the recipes for the vehicles as well as making every other resource in the entire game, because personally I don't think the Kara difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty in Deathrun Remade, is hard enough for those. So I wanted to overhaul that and I'll show you what that's like in the next video. De-extinction is going to add some new creatures that are both hostile and not so hostile. So you'll see what those look like in the next video. As well as we have a need for sleep now. So this is going to be how we kind of break our videos up here. So the way it works is 24 hours in game, we need to sleep 6 of those. Otherwise, we start seeing some visual effects and blurriness and yada, yada, yada. So we're going to be breaking up our videos per that, and I cannot sleep anytime before that. I have to wait until it tells me that I'm ready to be sleeping. So we'll see how long that takes. It might be 30-minute videos. It might be 20 minutes. Who knows? But I don't expect any of you guys to stick around for 8 hours to sit and watch me play some Subnautica and hang out. So I want to break it up so it's something you guys can just enjoy on your own time and not have to keep jumping back and forth to and trying to figure out where you're at. So no crosshair, just get rid of that immersion there. That way we can just use our eyes. Quick slots, so I have a total of 10 quick slots now instead of the, I think it's 4 or 5 that they give us. Dude, there's just so many things in this game to hold that I don't feel like going back and forth and switching them out in my inventory. Subnautica map, this is really useful. This is going to be great for when we're talking about like places that I've been versus where I think I need to go, or even so much checking out all the wrecks and putting pins down and saying, okay, we've been here, we checked this all out, we don't need to go here anymore, because a lot of the blueprints in this game, while they require many items, we also have to scan a ton of them, a ton, almost every single one, especially for like the sea moth and it's escaping me what the name of it is, but the deep diver guy, the deep diver guy, we're gonna call him that. And that's really it. So let's go in there for a little bit of a closer look here, just so y'all know what we're doing. So building tweaks, this just allows me to kind of place things kind of wherever I want on my base. I could put it on a roof upside down, like a hanging planter or something like that. Deathrun Remade, this is gonna be everything that we're pretty much gonna be dealing with. So personal crush depth, if we do not have certain diving suits, our personal crush depth will be 200 meters. Other diving suits will increase that. Damage taken, we're going to be receiving 1.5 to 2 times more damage, I guess depending upon the damage source. Nitrogen and the bends, yeah, so we need to be careful. You heard me talk about how I died earlier in the video to the bends before. It is a very excruciatingly painful but realistic thing. So the bends, the way it works, as you rise, nitrogen, I believe, fills the blood, and if you don't be careful with how fast you ascend, you can die. I could be wrong, but that's okay. You know better than me. If you know the real answer, post up in comments so that everybody can learn a thing or two. And me too. Surface air poisoning here. This is telling us that, hey, without a water filter pump of some sort, we cannot breathe on the surface, or we need some sort of way to get rid of all of the poisonous gas on the surface. And we'll figure out how to do that in a little bit. I do know how to do it, but I don't want to give it away. Aside from that, we can also use an integrated filter chip to get rid of that if we can manage to make one at some point. Alien structures lower nitrogen, so alien bases are considered safe areas and actively lower your nitrogen levels. I can't remember if it was originally on or off. I have it off, but if you guys want to add it, put it on, I can, although that's right, I'm not talking to my Twitch live chat, so I guess once we start, I guess we're good. We'll keep it all. Enable special air tanks. This one's pretty cool. So this adds things like solar powered air tanks, not solar powered, photosynthesis air tanks, essentially. So if it is sunny out and I have the air tank on, I will receive a little bit more oxygen while I'm underwater or on the surface, which is really nice. There's also a heat version of that as well. Start location, we're gonna have this at the jelly shrooms, and this is very, very important as to why this is. Originally in this mod, what they do is you can increase, I guess for each recipe, how many items are needed. However, I'm overhauling that with that custom craft mod, and a lot of those items cannot be obtained within a reasonable distance from many of the other spots. I found that the Jelly Shroom Cave is the best spot that has everything I need to get started. Otherwise, dude, it's maybe 2 other spots, and this is my personal favorite. I think I know the area very well, so we're gonna be going with the Jelly Shroom Cave for this run. Sink life pod, so it typically floats. Now it's gonna sink, and when it hits the ground, it's gonna topple over, and it's gonna be awkward, and you'll see what I mean. Guys, creature aggression, we're just gonna keep this in hard. If we went on Deathrun or Kara, the creatures can see me from every direction. They have like Aquaman senses, and we don't need any of that. And we'll just do hard, that it can see me from further away. Water murkiness here, we're gonna keep it normal. I'm not trying to cloud your judgment, and I don't wanna cloud my own. Explosion depth, so when the aurora explodes, we have to make sure that we're 100 meters below sea level, because otherwise, well, we're gonna go along with the exploding aurora. I don't want that. And there's ways to turn that off if you ever want to play this on your own, so you don't have to worry about it, but we're gonna keep it on. Time to explosion takes about 45 minutes, so I'm guessing within the second video, maybe the third video, we'll see. Radiation, we're gonna keep this on. This one is pretty insane. So it from 0 to 60 meters below sea level, we're gonna receive radiation damage. That means we need to make sure that we have the radiation suit before the aurora explodes. And we gotta be careful for what we're wearing on our face. If we have the radiation suit, we're okay. If we do not have it and we're using a rebreather, we have to make sure we're switching back and forth, because otherwise we take that damage and we don't want that. This is really important to me. The radiation affects if immune. So what this is saying is, hey, if you're in the radiated zone, do you want a visual reminder to see this? And I'm not talking about an icon. I'm talking about a straight up green filter on the mask that is so excruciatingly painful to have all the time when you're near the surface that I had to actually abandon my very first run of this and find out how to turn it off. So if you want to do this, there is a light, mild reminder. Otherwise, there's the strong interference, which is the one that they had on, Chernobyl, and it was annoying. So I'm actually turning that off. I just don't want to deal with it, and I promise you don't either. Other than that, tool and building crafting costs, as well as the vehicle costs here. Even though I have this on the hardest rendition, which is Kara, we're actually not going to be using this because the modded one that I have from Custom Craft 3 is actually even harder than this. And I can show you, I can load it up as a comparison if you guys really want in some future video or whenever. But this one, it's really not that bad. The custom craft is insane, and that's what I like. I like to make it extremely hard, so you'll see what I mean. Required fragment scans, this just increases how many times that we have to scan an item to get it. So I believe we need every single one for the sea moth and every single one for the prawn suit, not the biomechanical man suit that I was trying to say before, the prawn suit. Nice, remembered. As well as the battery costs. So yes, our batteries are gonna run out a little quicker, so we gotta be careful. Battery capacity is going to be at 75 power, as well as power costs and power loss. So this is essentially within radiated zones, which is that 60 meters below sea level range. We're going to be receiving 3 times to 5 times power cost, which is annoying. So we got to make sure we figure out how to get rid of that at some point. Power loss on vehicle exit. You know, I wasn't prepared to do this, I guess, today, because I didn't see this option. It's kind of annoying, but I might just keep it for the sake of Deathrun. What this entails is that every time I get out of my vehicle, we're gonna lose 10 power. But by the time I have vehicles and all of that, I'm gonna wanna have a moon pool so that I can constantly recharge it and make sure I have good ways of doing this. And I'm gonna just keep it on because I think it adds an extra oomph to, like, holy shit, I need to make sure I'm, like, on top of my shit. So other than that, everything else is good to go. I'm not going to really change anything here. Filter pump. The filter pump will not work in heavily irradiated areas. Hard will not work while inside the Aurora. Will not work inside the Aurora's radiation zone. A filter pump not working in the Aurora is crazy. Yo, how would I even breathe? Well, that's a challenge for another day. We're just going to keep it normal for what it is. Okay. That could be crazy. Either way, there's also other challenges such as no vehicles and pacifist, where it says you cannot build vehicles until you've acquired hatching enzymes. I kind of forget how to do that, so there's gonna come a point in here where I'm like, what do I gotta do again? So here it is. And that is pretty much everything for that. Otherwise, we have our bends here where everything's gonna be placed. There's the need for sleep, not need for speed, even though I like that game. Need for sleep. So essentially it says every 24 hours in game, you need to sleep about 6 of those. We're also going to get a notification saying when we look at the ground, like, hey, you have so many hours until you're going to be tired. So we can kind of keep tabs on that and make sure we're good to go. We also have a calorie burn rate multiplier when sleeping. I'm going to keep that off because I don't know what that does aside from maybe assuming that I go to bed and I wake up and I'm hungry. I don't know if that's going to be the case. It was automatically off when I downloaded it, so I'm going to keep it off. Can go to sleep anytime. No, we're going to keep it for when we get tired, we have to go to sleep. Quick slots, again, we have 10 of those. And guys, I really think that might be it. If you have any questions, please, on this video in the comments section, ask away if you want to know more about the run, if you have any ideas to make it harder, or if you just have anything you want to say at all. But otherwise, thanks for watching this. Feel free to click the next video, which should be at the top right here, as this is going to be us playing on our very first day. All right, I'll see you soon. Peace out, gamers.